This video is sponsored by William Robert Lee. You've never heard of Spellcraft Aspects of Valor on the Super Nintendo, because it does not exist. It was never produced, never sold in stores, canceled before release. It was advertised in GamePro and Nintendo Power, reportedly shown at CES 1993, but other than that, there's next to no information about this game online. Only a few blurbs about how it was completed, or at least mostly completed, but canceled for whatever reason just before production. The only videos which exist on YouTube don't show gameplay past the first 10 minutes. There is a PC version, but that's a completely different game, and from what I can tell, they only share a plotline. Combat, maps, how spells work, none of these are in common, and these two releases don't appear to share much. So I load up the game, and first impressions are, no wonder this game never came out. It looks rough. And I have no idea how a marketing company in the 90s could have spun these graphics into something that would sell. This, even in its best form, would not have done well. And Spellcraft could end up being the greatest game ever made, but nobody would ever know because it looks like this. It doesn't look like a real video game. It looks more like a Russian bootleg. You just kind of get that vibe from it. Then you get into a fight, and what is going on? What the hell is this game? You're Princess Leia shrugging and then hitting bears with Q-tips? An instruction manual would help, but unfortunately there isn't one. You can dodge left and right, but A, B, X, and Y all just make your character shrug. Eventually you'll find out that up attacks with your staff and you'll be able to beat some enemies. Our face buttons all shrug right now because we don't have any spells. Scattered throughout the world are these orbs sitting on pedestals. These are recipes. Here on the spell crafting screen, you can see that we have 4 base ingredients: jewels, stones, powders, and candles, I guess, as well as all these items up here. You combine one of these items with any number of ingredients to unlock your magic. Thankfully, you only need to do this once for each spell, because after it's unlocked, you may cast each ability as many times as you want. You earn ingredients by defeating enemies, and that's basically it. That's pretty much all you need to know about how to play this game. When you're on the spell screen, you're able to see whichever the last recipe you picked up, or whatever the last message the game gave you was, which is helpful, but the game still expects you to take notes, because it only displays the most previous message. So if it's something stupid like, "He was no match for you. Be prepared though, the next world is harder," then that's what will be shown down there. If you're unable to craft a recipe right away, you better write it down, or in my case, take a picture with your phone, because the game will never tell you again. You can't pick up the same recipe twice, and if you get another message, then it's gone forever. You spend most of your time in this game wandering around. Everything looks the same, there are very few landmarks, and no navigational system whatsoever. Even the crappiest, most vague map system would have went a long way, because words cannot describe how lost I was just walking around these landscapes. I could kind of form a mental map of some of these locations, but everything just looks so similar, and these areas get they're so expansive, and there's no like funnels. You can just walk everywhere in any direction, and it's not like there's any maps of this online because the game never came out. Nobody's played this, so I'm flying completely blind. When you get down to it, Spellcraft is just an Easter egg hunt. One where you don't even know how many eggs there are to find. Your movement speed is also excruciatingly slow, and no, there's no run button or anything either. The first realm, this grassy plain, is functional, and I can see why people might assume that this game is complete, or at least close to complete based on it. But after you get to the next one, Spellcraft's seams begin to burst. Firstly, because if you leave one realm, there's no way to go back, meaning if you missed a spell or an item that is required later on, then you're completely fucked. That's a basic fundamental flaw, and something that I assume would have been implemented if the game were actually finished. I locked my game when I went from the water stage to the fire one, because you need a spell to put out the fire, which you brew using a recipe from the water stage, only I never found the recipe, and I beat the boss and went to the fire stage. And at this point, I also realized that my footage looked like this. so I decided to start the entire game over. This is the second and third realm out of 5 total, by the way. So about halfway through, I realized that footage didn't work, plus I locked the game, so whatever. Just start over. And if you are going to try and play this game, save states are mandatory. And I mean that. After the first realm, anyway. You can get past the first realm without save states. Not because Spellcraft is difficult, which, don't get me wrong, it is in all of the worst ways. This is a bullshit game, and I honestly think it's one of the most unforgiving titles I have ever played, because the simplest of fuck-ups, like accidentally dipping your toe into this lava, can get you killed. And look at how picky this spell is. If you touch the lava, you're dead, but look at how close you need to be. Look at how exact your placement of this spell needs to be in order for it to function. And it's not like you need to cast it once or twice. You will be in entire rooms filled with lava where you're constantly casting this spell. You will need to cast this spell 1,000 times. No hyperbole. Without fucking it up ever. Like, good luck. You won't be able to do it. And if you die, the best case scenario is that you're forced to restart the stage. If you're able to find your way out of hell, when you die, you get sent to this other realm that you need to climb back out of. And if you die there, then it's game over. Back to the title screen. No. Save states aren't mandatory because of how difficult it is. They're mandatory because of how unstable this game is. SNES 9X gives you 10 save slots. Use all of them on a rotating basis. This game crashes constantly in the water and fire realms. Look at this. It's as if reality itself is continuously breaking apart. You'll get stuck in the scenery. Sometimes the game will freeze without warning. Sometimes the level boss will wander away and walk off a ledge, killing themselves, rendering the area unwinnable. There were multiple instances where I got onto a teleporter, only to be taken into an area with absolutely no way out, trapping me. The first time this happened, it took me over 2 hours to figure out that there was no way out of this place. I managed to softlock myself in more ways than I can count, and I was constantly reloading the previous save states. Have one on every world. Just like keep switching up your save states. If you keep using the same one, you're gonna get trapped and you're gonna have to start the whole game over. I guarantee that this will happen. Look at the water stage boss. He just stands there, doesn't even fight back. Here's a part that would suck even if it was finished. There's this bit with a maze and 4 switches, each with 3 different symbols to cycle through. Each switch combination results in a different maze, and only one combination actually leads to an exit. All you can do is guess and check. It's pure trial and error. By the way, if you do want to play this game from the bottom to the top, the solution to the puzzle is X square triangle square. Write that down because it took me over an hour and a half to finally get it right. After just under 18 hours, I was able to finish it. I beat Spellcraft and the Aspects of Valor on Super Nintendo, and that is 18 hours with liberal use of SNES 9X's fast forward feature and save states. If you're gonna try and play this game legit, good luck, man. I don't think it's possible. I may be the first documented person to have ever beaten this game, and that's with cheating. That's, like, nobody wants to endure this. People have had over 20 years since this ROM is leaked to do literally anything with it. Nobody's written any reviews. Nobody's fucking made, like, any guides. Nobody's done anything with this game. You want to see the ending? I want to share it with somebody. Congratulations, Robert! You have beaten me! Let it be known that the Magister of Valoria has been displaced by a young and promising Master of Magic. Let it also be known that you, Robert Garwin, are my great-grandson, and that I am most proud of you. I do not mean to confuse you, and I apologize for my deception. It was prophesied that a hero would come from Terra to usher in a new age of magic and bring Terra into a golden age of majestic harmony. Based on your performance on our tests, the other lords and I have decided that you are that hero. All hail Robert, master of all elements and magister of Veloria. You have honored me and the people of Terra. The end. And that's it. Back to the title screen. If it's 1994, I'm a video game publisher, and I'm handed this, I don't release it either. Hell, if I'm Nintendo and this gets sent to me, in its current state, this would not get a license. The Nintendo seal of quality would not find its way onto Spellcraft. I would call this playable, but certainly not finished. Is it 50% finished? 90%? I don't know, and who's to say? That depends on what you mean. Is Spellcraft 90% of the way towards being a good game? Absolutely not. 90% of the way towards being the bare minimum required to sell a game in stores? Okay, maybe I'll give you that. You go in, implement the missing boss fights, make the game not crash all the damn time, and yeah, I guess it would still be terrible, but it would be finished, I suppose. Spellcraft will not be going onto my tier list because after all, it was never released and that's not really fair. But if I were to place it somewhere, it would be 2 or 3 slots below the bottom. I would not recommend anybody try to beat this game. It was incredibly stressful. I almost gave up at multiple points, but I persevered. And this is a classic case of the Nostalgia Critics catchphrase, I played it so you don't have to. Shout out to the patrons. Shout out to our video sponsor, William Robert Lee, who recommended this game to me. Anyway, never trust anyone who needs a haircut. Goodbye.